Yeah, let's see what we look like today and where we're going. There we go. All right, I'm Scotty. I'm the Backyard Renegade. Gonna try to be a little bit quiet today because it's in the middle of the afternoon and I got neighbors out and about, and I just don't like to have to disturb everybody if I don't have to. Today I'm going to talk a little bit. Now let me take this off. Let me bring you guys live a little bit here. So this is a 12-foot game fisher that we've been working on. We picked it up and cheap on the side of the road. Actually, a little more expensive than it should have been. I paid $100, and it needed some work. I didn't really know how much until I started digging in, but I thought it'd be a good project for online. I'll start off by saying that I've never worked on fiberglass boats before. I've built dozens of wooden boats with fiberglass hybrid, composite as an adhesive and for joinery and stuff. But anyways, what they call stitch and tape. You can look up stitch and tape process and you'll see what I've done. But anyways, today we're going to finish up just filling in this. We had gotten this boat, we had cut everything out of it. It's a 12-foot Sears Gamefisher. We cut all the bad spots out. It was all cracked in here. If you go back, you'll see they had put paint stirrers in to fill this up with and covered it with polyester resin. It was really kind of comical. So anyways, we've gone ahead and we've covered the holes. It was 3 holes back here. They had drilled in 3 holes for drainage. I don't know. And this part of the hull here was just destroyed. It was all broken out. So we decided to replace, I just decided to fill in and replace it. Quick knockdown to get it back out in the water, but something that'll be solid. Today what I'm going to talk about is epoxy and some of the tools that you can use to shape it and work with it. So I'm going to put you live here. I apologize that I have COPD. I'm an older guy. I'm 64. If you saw the beginning of the video, you saw I'm an old guy. So I do huff and puff and sniff a little bit out here in the humidity. So you're just going to have to bear with me on that. Take a look here and try to get an idea of what we're looking at when I'm over here where my camera focus is, if you bear with me for a second. Here, yeah, that actually looks pretty good right about there. So we'll crank this down a little bit and we'll see what happens. So anyways, we cut a bunch of areas out of here. We've already laid some patching in. I laid some aerosol stuff down, and I got a couple layers of fiberglass in here to stiffen things up. Boats are meant to flex a little bit, so I wanted to use 6-ounce fiberglass, a couple layers. That'll allow it to flex, and it'll still be stronger than anything that's around it. That's the beauty of epoxy. One of the things I want to note is don't go overboard with the epoxy. More epoxy doesn't mean more strength. It's the fiberglass in the epoxy that gives it the strength. So, more doesn't necessarily mean stronger. It just means more weight and actually failure. I guess it could actually be a failure point. A couple tools that I use, for instance, this here is an interesting little tool, cheap. I'm trying to show you guys. I have better tools to do a lot of this stuff with, but I want to show you guys stuff that you can do at home. If you decide to work on something like this, we got to take down some of this. This is actually a farrier's file. We got this from from an old horse barn. We were up there when a farrier was there, and once they get dull, they're no good for them. But I actually used this one for years on wooden boats. And he gave it to me. This is no good to him anymore once it's dulled off. I used it a lot for taking down wood, taking down a lot of wood. You can see you got a little extra fiberglass there. Well, this will take it right down, okay? So I'm going to take down a bunch of this stuff here. I'll take it down. I'll take it down with this. I'm going to rough this area up here. This is the area I'm concerned with today. I want to finish this up. If you look from the side, you can see that it was pretty beat. I got to fill kind of from here to here. I'm a high-tech kind of guy, so I'll use a stick probably to just shape it and fill it in once I get this knocked down, so it'll go across a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is show you a little bit about fiberglass, and I'm going to go ahead and just do this without a lot of talking, because it's so hard to hear me with the mask on, and I do wear a mask whenever I'm working with the fiberglass. As a matter of fact, I should have the gloves on right now. I've talked about this in other videos, and I did a post about it on Facebook and a do-it-yourself boat builders and repairs group, which is an open public group. And I do want to remind you folks, if you're watching these videos, you know, subscribe or hit like or something, or follow, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch. And you know, and let me get my point out. I got a lot of things I'm going to do this summer beyond fiberglass and boat building, and I'd like to really share a lot of this stuff that I've learned over the years with y'all. And if I can't get the word out, Twitter too, Backyard Renegade on Twitter. I have 0 followers on Twitter. I'd like to get a follower or 2 or 3 or more. So anyways, I'm going to get started here. I'm going to put on the mask, so it'll be a little bit more difficult to hear. I apologize for that. Give me a second. This is the mask I use, you know. Listen, the hardener in epoxy is devastating. A lot of people think because it doesn't smell like polyester resin that you don't need to wear a mask when you're working with it. You know, they won't wear a mask until they're grinding it off when it's cured because of the fiberglass in it. But trust me, the fiberglass is probably a lot less worse than the stuff that's in the hardener for this. It doesn't have a smell at all, and you don't even notice. I did a post again yesterday on some damage to some plastic that I had near hardener that I suspect may have been gassing off. But that's just, I suspect, I don't know that for sure. Anyway, so I'm going to put my mask on and get started here. All right, so yeah, here I am. I'm ready to go. It's not so hot out today. It's not so bad. But anyways, I'm going to start taking this down and prepare to put a patch over the top of this. I'll just calibrate here the camera angle. Forgive me, I got a little bit of a delay. Alright. Cut down just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to get started. A lot of times I would use this to take this stuff down. This is what I use to grind with. To grind this down real quickly. And for cross-hatching, I actually use this because I can slow it down and get real good scoring in, which I'll show you after. So, and I want to show you, if you don't have a big grinder, I've used these, I've used this. These are other things you can use. This will take it down. That'll take it down nicely. Okay, so you can't see that. Let me try this. I'm going to try this again. This will work it right here. And edges down. It's going to be difficult though. It's something like this, but it can be done. Like I said, this horse hoof file will take a lot of material off that. Right, but anyways, this will work better. Oh, shoot. I'm not plugged in. I don't think. You're gonna have to bear with me for a minute, folks. I'll be right back. Sorry, I'll be right back. I gotta go plug in my machines. Sorry about that, folks. Forgot to turn on the power to my backyard. Anyway, let me pick up where I left off. Make sure that's what I can see. Perfect. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to start taking this down, feather it out a little bit, and just put some more patching on. What I'm doing here is I'm taking out the edge of the other fiberglass repair from yesterday, just kind of smoothing this edge down here. There was a little air pocket there. I had to cut that out. We'll refill that in with epoxy. But I'm just trying to knock it down and get ready to put more on top. So that's all I wanted to do was take the edges of the fiberglass down. When we laid the last layer, you can see back here what happens. You got the strings from the fiberglass, and you got edges and things like that. I got a little bit of an air pocket right there. That's got to be drowned back out and filled in. And then we can continue. So that's what we're working on right here. Just getting ready to lay more on top. And just a little bit of weight. Excuse me for a second, folks. There we go. A little bit better. So anyway, if you give me a second to catch my breath. I mentioned before, I am an older fella with COPD and a little warm out and humid. Gives me a little trouble breathing. Takes me a second to keep up. But we'll catch up in a second here. Apologize for all that. Excuse me. I'm going to hydrate. If I had followers or subscribers, they might tell me to. But yeah. I don't see if I have any chat. No, nobody in the chat. Okay. If you do happen to stop by, please follow and set your notifications so you'll know when I'm going live. And if not for you, you might see me do something this summer that interests one of your friends even. If you look at my description down on Twitch or YouTube, you'll see that I do a lot of different things I've learned to do. And I'm going to pass a lot of that knowledge around to you folks, you know, from auto mechanics to Excel spreadsheets for food storage programs to leather work to silk screen to obviously fiberglass and stuff. But anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit today about some of these things. We're going to lay down a patch. We're just going to fill in. You can probably see here I kind of filled in. I did a really, you know, just quick job on the bolt. Laid some masking tape inside. Anyway, let me get rocking here. You can go back and look at the other videos. Back with the mask, because we're going to do a little bit more sanding here. And make sure that we have a good surface for the patch to stick to. So, I'm going to come over here. This is 120 grit sandpaper. Use it for scoring. In this case, it's a good all-around grit to have. 120, have some 36, some 80, and some 120. You got that in your shop, you can do a lot of stuff. The epoxy we're using today is a 2-part epoxy by Total Boat, and it's a 2-to-1 mixture. I have a pump kit that delivers that mixture with 1 pump from each bottle. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let me try to stay clean here. The idea here is just to score this up so more epoxy sticks. We got some really good scoring with the grinder here. That's really good scoring. That's what you want. I've leveled these edges. Okay, I'm going to score this up real good. This gives the epoxy a mechanical advantage when it's adhering, as well as it being an adhesive, which it is. It's an adhesive. I don't necessarily have to sand this down. I just want to get it scored up real good. I took most of the extra weight off from my epoxy swap with the grinder just now, right? So, trick about sanding, always run sideways with your fingers, never run this way or you'll make streaks. Okay? In here I didn't want to grind because I've got glass I didn't want to grind through. As I've already started building the structure in here with glass, I don't want to disrupt that. So I'm just going to put a little thickened stuff over it and more layers of glass and we'll be good. But this right here, scoring it up, very important. Absolutely. I'm going to get a little bit over here where I did that repair yesterday. That extra damage I found when I was sanding, it had been covered by paint. Yeah, nice, right? Sorry I'm not talking, a little out of breath. Mentioned it before, I am a 64-year-old with COPD out here in the heat, so I'll try to talk as much as I can. The next step, I'm going to blow this off a little bit here. Let's see. Okay. All right, I'm going to try to talk here a little more. Let me get some of the sweat off, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Whew. Okay. Now that we've prepared the surface for more epoxy to stick, we've scored it up real good, made it kind of flat so we can lay the glass over it. We're ready to start working with the epoxy. Now, this is a fiberglass boat, but we're going to use epoxy on it because epoxy is an adhesive. Fiberglass is for laminating. It's great for building the boat. Epoxy, in my opinion, is just better for repairing because you can create a mechanical as well as a chemical bond, whereas with polyester resin, all you get is a mechanical bond. Please, please, please work with gloves and a mask whenever you're exposed to any kind of epoxy before or after cure. You know, if it's in the air, it's no good. You know, the hardener, this stuff here, I mean, there's plenty of warnings on it, and they tell you, and I agree with them, stay away from it. You know, don't touch it. Make sure you're wearing gloves. Make sure you're doing all the right things. So anyways, please wear a mask and gloves when you're messing with epoxy. We're going to use Total Boat epoxy today. I've been using Cabasil as a filler so far. That's that whitish yellow you see in there. It's more structural. Anything you add to epoxy takes away from it, but it's more structural than, say, the wood filler, okay? But we're going to use the wood filler now because we've got the solid patch in, and the wood filler will fill that in just fine. The structure is already there is the point. We don't need to build any more structure in with the Cabasil or even with any more glass, but we're going to put one more layer over it anyway just to hold it all together. But we've built the structure in. This is 2-to-1 epoxy. Listen, I've never used Total Boat before. I believe pretty much epoxy's epoxy, right? But what is good about Total Boat that I can see is they've taken a lot of time to do a lot of videos to show people how to do this stuff. Videos that I recommend to anybody that wants to get way more advanced than what I do here. And secondly, I mean, they got the nice kit. This is a 2-to-1 epoxy mix. So they give you the nice pumps, and you pump one of these and one of those, and that gives you your perfect 2-to-1 mix. I want to talk for a minute about why it's so important with epoxy. With polyester resin, you can put a little more hardener in, a little more catalyst in. They kick off by heat, and have it go faster or slower or whatever. I don't know a lot about polyester, but with epoxy, the mixture is extremely important. If you have a 2-to-1 mix like we have here, theoretically, the strongest and the most cure will be if every 2 molecules of resin comes in contact with 1 molecule of the hardener. Anything outside of that perfect takes away from the total cure. Now, epoxy's hard enough that, I mean, 0.5% or so, I don't think it's going to create a lot of issues. One of the beauties of epoxy and work like this is it's so much stronger than everything else that if you make a mistake, it's going to hold better than the rest of the boat. So, I mean, you're not going to lose a lot. The biggest thing about epoxy is to make sure that you mix it well. The more you mix it, the better, the better you're going to have that chemical procedure happen. You mix epoxy at least, please, and nobody does it for 2 minutes. I got to say, I don't maybe even do it for 2 minutes. But I try to go to 1:15 to 1:30, realistically. You should start to feel the pot get a little bit warm as you're starting to work it, and that means it's time to go. There are different hardeners that you can use. This is a medium hardener, which I assume is a medium speed hardener. I used to get my resins from Raka. I used to use 3 different speed hardeners, slow, medium, and fast, and mix them accordingly, depending on the temperature outside, humidity, what I was working with, and how fast I wanted it to cure. So, but this is, I just grabbed a medium. This is a good thing to start with. It's a general all around, and you'll have the time to work with it. It won't kick off right away. Cabasil is what I use for filler. This is an expanded micro beads, I guess, or glass beads or something. This stuff is like snow. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's literally so, you can see it floating. That's it right there. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not. Maybe not. That stuff is so light. But that's a good filler. It's for epoxy, if you need to fill, which I used here, or use as a thickener, with a little bit of structural integrity. A little bit less, but still, epoxy is so much overkill. For general work, I use wood flour, and this isn't sawdust. This is actually wood flour. This stuff, if you could see, that's not sawdust, and there's a difference. Believe me, when you go to mix it up and spread it, try to make that peanut butter that people talk about for texture. You want to be using wood flour, not trying to get away with sawdust. I mean, it's $5, whatever. Don't cheap out there. Wood flour I'll talk about for a minute. Pine wood flour makes more of a tan color. Maple wood flour makes more of a brown color. And when I used to build clear coat wooden boats, I would use a mixture of the two to get a color that matched whatever wood that I was using, whether it was a darker or a lighter wood. And once you put the epoxy on, it's always going to come out a little darker, so you had to play around a little bit, but you could make some nice clear seams that would fit right in with the color of the boat. Acetone is what you use to clean up. Again, be real careful. It's obviously dangerous stuff, okay? I wear gloves all the time. I wear a mask all the time. As soon as I start touching, and I'm touching this is cool. As soon as I start touching this and this stuff, you're going to see I'm going to put the gloves on. You do not want to get sensitized to epoxy. That's an allergy, and it can form over time by inhaling the fumes, by contact with the skin, and just contact with the fumes on the skin and the air. This stuff, so really you got to wear good gloves. A lot of people will wear a full suit. I don't blame them. I'm 64 years old. I haven't gone that far. But, listen, if you really want to do it right, that would be the way to go when working with it. People think a lot of times with epoxy that because you don't smell it like you do polyester resin, that it's okay. No, you want to wear the mask. And I'm not talking a paper mask. This is what I wore. I've mentioned in my other videos. I'm 64 with COPD. It's 80-something degrees out here. The humidity's through the roof. I'm huffing and puffing, and I'm wearing a mask. And if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what to say to you. So make sure that you're really being safe when you're using epoxy. All right, that being said, I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to get right to it. And listen, I'm just hacking through this, guys. I want to put a boat on the water that's safe and strong for me and my kids. Don't really give too much of a crap on how it looks, as long as it's good. So I've already built the patches in here. They're good. Now it's time just to cover them over. I want to transition from here to here a little bit, cover it over, and we'll turn over and work on the inside. So here we go. Again, mixing. I'll talk a little bit about it while I'm doing it. So the most important part of epoxy is not to skimp on the mix time. And here I am, okay? I'm back in the mask. What is, okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, there we go. So I got one of my mods here. Can you hear me, Jess, when I talk like this? Let me know. All right, I'm going to get started. All right, very good. It's a little difficult. I have a mask on if anybody's watching this. I'm going to get just started on the epoxy work. I'm done grinding, Jess, if you want to bring the dog back. All right, first thing we can do is see if we can reclaim one of these buckets. I'm not going to fool with that right now. So, with your tools, just let them harden up overnight and then peels right off, right? Breaks right off. There we go. So, that's good. All right, I'm going to fill this in. This is 6-ounce fiberglass. I happen to have a lot of different sizes because I used to build the boats. But for right now, I'm going to use this. There we go. All right. I'm going to start off with about 6 pumps. And remember, this is 2 to 1. So 1 pump for each. It's a good idea to have a slop bucket, because once you start pumping, these will drip. So, here we go. 1. 2. Got 6 pumps of the resin. Six pumps of the plastic. And I've talked about this before. A minute, minute and a half to 2 minutes. Don't even fool around. The mixture on this is so important with epoxy. I'm getting up there, getting close to about 45 seconds here. Sorry, this is just a place where you can't save time. It's just not the place to save time when you're working with this stuff. Otherwise, you'll have tacky stuff and patches around the boat. You want it all to cure. Last thing you want is uncured epoxy. Try to get that off. Sandpaper, it gums it up. You can't get it off. It's horrible. Just make sure. Probably at about a minute now, you know. About a minute 20, okay. Now we're going to add the wood filler. This is wood flour. You can see how it works, right? I mean, this is not sawdust, it's wood flour. It's cheap, but it's a lot easier to work with than trying to get away with getting some sawdust off the floor and get all the air and the crap out of that. There we go. And there we go, peanut butter. That's what you want, right? Nice peanut butter. There we go. Well, I'm going to need a ton more. I'll go with 6 more here. Six, 7, and 8. I'm going to add 2 more, just because I always go with too little. Spend all my time mixing up little batches, right? So. 2 minutes again. That's 30 seconds. Like 50 seconds. Again, if you're watching, you know, subscribe to the channel, get my updates, keep posted on what I'm doing. It's like a minute. Again, I'm going to keep saying this, mixing time is not where you save time working with epoxy. The mix is very critical with epoxy. Very critical. That's been a bit of time here. I'll switch over to this stick. Again, this is wood flour. So I got a little bit, now a little bit will go a long way though. Once you start getting up close to your mixture, it'll go fast. Okay? I want it a little bit thicker than that. Want it to kind of hold up a little bit this time. There we go. This is a Bondo spreader for auto body work. Get that at, you know, AAA Auto, or what, not AAA, but Acme Auto, any place like that. Okay. Gonna try to get tricky here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay down the fiberglass over the top, and I'm going to wet it first. I'll show you why. But first I'm going to get my 2 minutes of mixing here. Sorry, I was at 8 seconds. Just about at 45 seconds. I got to get this done before that patching hardens up. Okay. Now I'm starting to drip sweat. I got to watch for the camera if I need a wipe. We're about at 1 minute. All right. Let's see what we can do here now. That's a minute and a half. All right. Let's see what we got here. Wow. Here we go. Sorry about this, guys. I'm lucky it's a cooler day today. I'm using medium hardener. 5, 6. And like I said before, I am 64 and it's a hot day. So you're going to hear some huffing and puffing. And if you're wondering why you can't hear me well, I'm talking through a mask. I always wear a mask when I'm working with epoxy. Getting down there, I'm going to have to order some more. And again, wait to mix. Just about getting on 30 seconds. They say, you know, 2 minutes. I do a minute 15, usually minimum. Again, I'll say it again in case somebody's just joining. It's very important to mix epoxy well. That's the most important part of it. That's just about a minute here, and I got to get rocking because this stuff's starting to flow. Now, I always try to push the epoxy, the glass into liquid instead of pushing liquid into glass. So we're just gonna lay this down nice and thick here. Nice and thick. Don't even want to fool around with it. It's a lot easier this way than to try to push it down through. Now, if you'll notice, my fiberglass is white. When we're done, it can't be white anymore, right? That's not what we're looking for. So, that's why I do it the way I do. I'm gonna take and put this here. And lay it down. You can see it's already starting to get a little bit clear, okay? And that's what we're looking for. We want this to all be nice and clear when it's set in here, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and here we go. You see I'm making it all nice and clear. That's what it needs to be. Any place where you see white or air bubbles, you got to get out, okay? There we go, starting to get in there. I'm pushing the air out. Didn't quite put enough down to start with, but we're able to get it going. Just push the air bubbles out and get that stuff off. You can use this to kind of straighten it out. There's one more spot. Let's see if I can get that filled in nice. There we go. Okay, here we go. Just gonna Yep, that's about it. So, we kind of I think that's gonna be pretty good there, you know. Just kind of flatten that a little bit. All right, now I just noticed something that we can fix. I'm sideways here, so I'm gonna bring this over. You can see me moving that tape over. There we go. Just a neater job if we center it on the boat. Yeah, I kind of cheated this side of the boat a bit, didn't I? And that's the side I would sit on to steer. I'm a fat guy. But you can see the way I'm moving this, right? You see the way I'm moving this tape? Just... There we go. That's a little better. Looks like I got a little bit of issue up here in the front. Probably grind that right down. I don't know if I... Yeah, there must have been some imperfections in the glass, but... Oh, shit. Okay. Not a problem. Now I'm just going to clean up some of the excess, because it's a lot easier to clean up epoxy now than later. Just so you know. Isn't that nice? There we go. Like I said, more epoxy doesn't mean more strength. Just enough to fill the glass, right? That's all you need. I got a little bit of filler in there I'm going to pull out. And put that back in line. Yeah, I think that's going to be about it. I really do. I'm going to put one more piece on this transom, just because I'm here. And then we'll call it an afternoon. We're gonna go with some 4" by 6" tape. Keep an eye on that until it kicks. It's almost ready. And I was going to cut off after that, but I'm going to do this one more piece, which is actually just laminating, trying to give a little more stiffness to the transom. Never worked with fiberglass boats before. Just want to make sure. Extra 6-8 ounces won't hurt nothing. I'm sorry, won't hurt anything. So, just one more fresh bucket. Probably 4 ounces should do it. If there's a little extra, we can put it up front. Again, this is Total Boat, 2-to-1. I bought it in a kit. Never used Total Boat before, but I hear they got a great reputation. I've seen some of their stuff. So for every 1 pump of this, we use 1 pump of this. And that gives me a perfect, or close to perfect, 2-to-1 mixture, which is very important. And that's not going to be enough. I already know that right off the bat. I'll go up to 6 ounces. Or 6 pumps. And 6 pumps here. And again, you see that drip? Always keep it over a bucket. You don't want that resin harder in your work area. Again, you'll come back and touch it later when it's not cured. Epoxy is not nice stuff if you get it on your skin. You can develop a sensitivity to it or an allergy, and it's in the gases that comes off while you're mixing. And that's why you're hearing me talking like this. I'm wearing a full face mask respirator to make sure I don't take in any of this hardener into my lungs. Right, so about 30 seconds. Starting to really get sweaty here. I hope I don't drip on the lens of the camera. 1.5 to 2 minutes, always on the mix. Heard about 45. About 1 minute and 5 seconds here. Now again, with fiberglass, it's a lot easier to push fiberglass into resin or push it onto a wet surface than to push epoxy through fiberglass onto a dry surface. So when I'm laying down glass, you'll notice that 80% of my resin goes down before the glass, and then I cover. I'm at about 1.5 minutes on this stir now. Very important. I got to tell you guys again and again and again. It's the most important thing working with epoxy. Do not try to save time on the mix. That's not where you save time and energy. Now my goggles are fogging up here. Good. So I really can't see. So I'm going to try to hurry up and get this done quick. I'm just going to lay down the epoxy like I said. It's a whole lot easier to put to put this fiberglass onto a wet surface than to try to push the resin through it. So I had, done this earlier. There we go. We'll try it. I'll put a little more on even. There we go. Okay. Now, we do this and this, and we lay that down, and you can see it's already starting to clear up, and that's what we're looking for. Looking for nice clear epoxy. See that? Nice and clear. The bottom is white, the top is clear. Right there, okay? Gonna do the same thing here. Just gonna try to get it to pull that epoxy through. See that? We're wetting it out nice. I'm telling you, it's a lot easier than trying to push epoxy down onto a dry surface underneath. Right, so I'll rub this a little bit, make sure it's good, and then we'll fill it in. And again, more epoxy isn't stronger, okay? The fiberglass and epoxy are strong. They work together. Epoxy is to fill material, is to fill fiberglass. Fiberglass is to hold resin, okay? Sounds silly, that's what my mentor taught me, and it's always done me well. You can see we're nice and full here. Nice and clear. No air bubbles, right? Good. That's what we're looking for. No air bubbles. Get that air bubble. And there. I'm going to move this over with the brush just a little bit. Bring it more towards the center of the boat. You can see how I'm moving it. Just by dragging it with the brush a little bit. And we'll straighten it out, make it look neat. There we go. That's literally it right there. Get this extra glass out of here. Now I got a little bit more resin. Just going to fill this glass in a little bit more, here and there. It's a little dry, but that's okay. Just moving it over just a tad here. There we go. That's not right. Okay. I think that's about it. That is about it. How's that look? Pretty good? Pretty good. A little bit of wavy over here. It's got to come out. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I think that's about it. I think that looks pretty good. So, I'll get these off. I'm going to get the mask off and move away a little bit, because again, this, give me a second here. There we go. So anyway, some of the things we went over was, look, at wear a mask. That's just goes with, I'm going to talk about that. Wear gloves as soon as you start working with your tools, because there's always going to be some hardener that didn't contact epoxy that's going to be soft somewhere, okay? I put up a post yesterday about what I suspect might be damage to this, actually from the fumes just coming off while I was working with epoxy. And that's plastic. So if it does that to you, you're a plastic. If it does that, I can imagine what it does to your lungs. So I'm going to move back a little bit and just look. This is what we've got. We've got the 12-foot Sears Gamefisher that had a lot of damage. I have a series of videos that show it from beginning to end. I kept finding more damage every time. But anyway, this looks okay. I mean, yeah. A little bit of epoxy here and there. Believe me, it's actually easier to clean it up now than later. And go from there. You know what? I have one more thing I have to do here. Again, it's a lot easier to fix things now than later. I'm going to put my mask back on for a minute and just do a little bit more fairing on this, if you'll bear with me. That's all. That was it. Sorry. So, anyways, that's what we've done today. We went ahead and finished up. That's going to be the final. Damn it. Darn it. I'm going to grab one stick here that I know has no epoxy on it. And I just have to fix this, folks. I can't go back and fix it later when it dries. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's it. Okay, I promise I'm done now. I'm not going to look at it anymore. This is what we did. Before I find any more stuff I don't like, I'm just going to kill this video. So, anyway, this was a 12-foot Sears Gamefisher that we picked up on the Backyard Renegade. This is my backyard. Please like and follow, subscribe, whatever it takes, so I can start to get the word out with these different projects I'm going to do this summer. Like I say, mostly stuff that you can do yourself that people like to charge you money for. I'm going to show you how to do. I do silk screen, leather work. I do all kinds of stuff. Auto mechanics, race motorcycles. We're going to talk about all these things over the summer, fishing, and we're going to go from there. So anyway, you know, hit the like button or follow or subscribe. I'm not sure if you're on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. Kind of a new streamer, and this is what we're going to do. Peace